Welcome back, Ronin Renegades. I'm Lupine Fiasco. This is Daily FaB gameplay, and today we are playing FaB versus Victor. For anyone who is new to the channel, welcome to the Resistance. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed, that I lose my bias, and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I will talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now, then compare that to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future, to take down paper events like the ongoing Road to Nationals and, most importantly, walk away with that shiny, shiny cardboard. If you would like to check out the list I'm playing here or any list I've played in the Daily FaB gameplay series, there is a FaBery deck link available in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. A YouTube subscription is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see Daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. If you'd like to go above and beyond, then the best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the DFG Discord. At higher tier levels, your name will appear in every DFG video. You'll receive bonus DFG content every week, and there are even more benefits to come. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so for those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. Let's talk about our sideboard and a few thoughts on the Victor matchup. By now, it should come as no surprise that Victor is a horrendously bad matchup for FaB. To put it into perspective, I don't know if I would say it's as bad as Dromai's matchup against us used to be, but our chance of beating Victor is certainly lower than 30%. The deciding factor is how good Victor is at winning clashes against Ninja. The smallest attack in Victor's deck has 4 power, which is greater than almost every attack power in our deck. Usually this will amount to some small incremental gain in value like a Might or a Vigor token for Vic, but our chance of victory plummets when he draws a card for making a gold. All of this is to say that properly setting up your Art of War Spreading Flames turns is important, but not nearly as important as luck. Rule 1, always have it. Rule 2, never don't have it. Our game plan, for the most part, is to just send it. Value blocking with your extra blues is fine, but more often than not, we're going full aggro. We cannot skill gap our way around Victor blocking with Trounce or Test of Strength, so why even try? The only thing we want to keep in mind is that we should never be playing less than a 5-card Art of War or Spreading Flames turn, if at all possible. Between Armor, blocks from hand, and the card draw from Balance of Justice, FaB needs to go way over the top multiple times in a game to even maybe beat Vic. Squeaking a few extra points of value from your turn cycle just won't do it. You need to go big, and you need to do it a lot. Vic himself doesn't have much in the way of disruption, and certainly not compared to Bravo. Put your hand on the table to block a Spinal Crush or maybe Red Disable, but for the most part, Victor's resources should be getting tied up on defense. Play smart, draw well, and you too can send this rich boy crying home to daddy. We have won the die roll and are choosing to go second. The hand we draw into is not great. We're really hoping that Victor just passes. Victor just potentially making a Seismic Surge and passing the turn would be incredible for us. If he sends big damage, we're going to take a lot of it because Art of War doesn't block. So we get very lucky. And in fact, this hand does work pretty well for sending damage back at Vic. Now, he very likely can just clean this up with blocks. The fact that we're getting primed to fight on link 1 is incredible. It means that Victor can't clash. And we are getting high damage cards out of Victor's hand early. Prime to Fight is a very strong card and is a potential 2-card 11 if Vic gets the right setup. So if we're getting 2 of them this early, it means 2 things. Victor's hand is very red heavy, which we've seen between 2 primed fights and a red Thunderquake, and it means that we don't need to expect much of a crackback on Victor's turn. We're just going to tuck an Art of War into Arsenal and look for a situation to let it play. Miller's Grindstone coming here. We could think about blocking this with Warmonger's Diplomacy just to prevent a little damage. I don't hate the idea of waiting an extra turn to attack with our hand in Art of War. We give Tunic a chance to tick up to 3, but I also think there's something to be said for just letting it rip with the cards we have in hand. We play Art of War, we pitch our Warmonger's Diplomacy, and we banish our blue brand with Cinderclaw. So I'm totally on board with just taking this 4. I don't want to let perfect be the enemy of the good. We need to apply some pressure to Vic, and we would like to start that ball rolling now. So I think it's defensible to block or to take this damage, but I don't hate the idea of just taking 4, which is what we are choosing to do. We catch a lucky break, as it had not occurred to me that getting Nasty Surprise milled off the top of our deck would actually trigger the effect. So we create a Might, a Vigor, and an Agility. The Agility and the Vigor we really can't use very well, although speaking to Spring Tunic not being online yet for our Art of War, we do get to supplement that with the free resource from Vigor. As far as sequencing goes, we will lead with Brand with Cinderclaw. We'll give Victor the opportunity to block for Xaxes before we fire off this Art of War. Now here's an interesting concept. Do we play Art of War knowing that there's a Phoenix Flame on top of our deck? Phoenix Flame is one of the worst cards that we could possibly draw for a big Art of War turn, but we don't want to banish it. So what we could do on this turn is play out the rest of our hand, Blaze Headlong, Searing Emberblade, Blue Brand with Cinderclaw, pick up and play a Phoenix Flame, and not play this Art of War. But what that means is we are pricing ourselves into drawing a Phoenix Flame on our next turn, then not playing Art of War. Or if we do play Art of War, we're banishing a real attack from our hand. We want a second Phoenix Flame in our discard to play around Fatigue, and to have something that we can bottom to our Enlightened Strikes to make the Enlightened Strike stronger, but also our Flame Call Awakening stronger. So I think it is correct to play Art of War here, it just is unfortunate. We don't necessarily need to respond to this Thunk. I think at the time I had thought this was a Clash card, and I wanted to get a Phoenix Flame off the top of my deck before the Clash happened, but of course Thunk's effect is already on the table. As far as sequencing goes, we should try to hold this Mounting Anger back for as long as we can, which means that we are just attacking with Emberblade, Blaze Headlong, Phoenix Flame, Emberblade, Blaze Headlong, Phoenix Flame, Mounting Anger, Phoenix Flame. I am not looking at breaking Mask of the Pouncing Lynx here. Victor has way too much life for me to feel good about doing that. I really want to set up a big Tenacity turn. Compared to Salt the Wound or Lava Burst, Tenacity is our biggest source of damage against Victor when coupled with Mask of the Pouncing Lynx. So I want to wait. I want to set up a bigger Art of War with a bigger Tenacity. Now, depending on how Victor blocks, it's very possible that he puts 8 or 9 cards on the table in front of our attacks, and we say, yeah, you know what? Let's fire off the Pouncing Lynx. In general, I prefer to wait longer. I want Victor to fall lower on life so that the Pouncing Lynx becomes a more significant portion of the remaining life total. Tenacity for 10 is worth a lot more when your opponent is at 20 than when your opponent is at 34. But This is a game of value. If we can get a tenacity for 10 or 11 on this turn, I think we should absolutely go for it. Just trying to decide the best way to sequence the rest of this turn. I think this is fine. Sending the Blaze Headlong before the Phoenix Flame. We've already had our Shuko trigger, so Phoenix is going to come in for 2. Victor can cover the Blaze Headlong and the Phoenix Flame with 2 pieces of armor and a card from hand. Maybe we should have sent the Phoenix Flame first to get some armor out of Victor to know if Pouncing Lynx was going to be the right call for a tenacity, but I am totally okay with this being sort of the probing attack. This is the first big turn we've had in the game. We're looking to get another 2 or 3 of these. So totally good to just get some damage, attack some of Victor's armor, and pass it back. Art of War coming for 6 with Go again. We can expect a Millstone follow-up to this. Our hand is pretty good for sending some damage, which is to say I'm not interested in blocking the Grindstone with Salt the Wound. We catch a very unlucky break as Victor hits the Golden Sun off of a Clash and ends up drawing it to put into Arsenal. We know that we have Spreading Flames on top of our deck, which means that we are looking forward to a very strong next turn, hoping that Victor does not hit us with Spinal Crush, Red Disable, Blue Disable even. We would be happy to take something like a Debilitate or any vanilla damage, but that's really a matter of luck. We cannot influence that. Salt the Wound here, just coming in for 4, that's fine. We want to incentivize Victor to block. If he can just hit us with the Golden Sun for 10, that would be incredible. We know he has the Golden Sun in Arsenal. We're assuming he has a blue in hand. So let's give Victor 4 points of damage and give him a reason to want to block from hand. Because we're happy to take vanilla damage here to set up a Spreading Flames Art of War, we're giving Victor the opportunity to do so. 10 with Overpower is a huge attack, but we're at 26 life. We can take this. We could take a second one. And now we get our 5-card Art of War Spreading Flames with a blue and a Tunic. This is going to be a huge turn for us. We'll send the Spreading Flames first, bait the card from Victor. Lucky break here, where Victor does need to break a gold in order to reclash. Now he does win the reclash, so we are still dealing with Victor having an additional card in the hand and having some available resources. Here is where we're going to play the Art of War so that we get our damage. I don't think banishing the Ronin Renegade was correct. I think banishing the Mounting Anger was correct because say we didn't draw into a blue Branded Cinderclaw, say this was another red, something like a Blaze Headlong. By not having our Mounting Anger and having a 0-cost attack instead, we get to use our Tunic resource to attack with the Emberblade, and we get the highest damage turn cycle we can. Having this Mounting Anger in hand, yes, it's helped because we have a blue that we can pitch for our Emberblade, but if we want to win this game, we need to go for our highest value lines and we need to go way over the top. And having Spreading Flames, Art of War, Mounting Anger, and Emberblade isn't something that we can pay for. We need to go for the 4 resource line that sets up our biggest damage. As far as sequencing goes, we are going to hold off on the Mounting Anger. Mounting Anger should be the second to last thing we do in our turn. If we can bait blocks out of Victor ahead of the Mounting Anger so that he has to take the Mounting Anger, then we get an extra point for our Phoenix Flame. Choosing to break the Tenacity, Pouncing Lynx here to grab Tenacity is a bold line, but it works in our favor. It forces Victor to decide whether he is going to block or whether he is going to just take all of this damage. And taking all of the damage is really bad for Victor. We need to think about our sequencing because of Spreading Flames, and if we think that Victor is going to let us hit with Rising Resentment. I think that sending Rising Resentment here is fine. If Victor lets it hit, then it banishes the Mounting Anger. If it does not hit, then we immediately follow up with Mounting Anger and possibly look to play our Brand with Cinderclaw. We need to think about the sequencing for Spreading Flames. So if we send Rising Resentment does not get the Spreading Flames buff, Mounting Anger does not get the Spreading Flames buff, but everything following Mounting Anger will get the buff, and that includes our Phoenix Flame, that includes our Brand with Cinderclaw, and it includes our Tenacity. The Rising Resentment here with Mounting Anger and the potential to get an Emberblade in here works really, really well with having face-up Tenacity, because it makes Victor much less likely to want to block this. Whether he does or he doesn't, he's taking a lot of damage, and I really do like popping Pouncing Links early on these Tenacity turns. It won't always be correct, but it's a really neat idea. I don't like playing Brand with Cinderclaw here. I more or less get what I'm trying to do, which is to buff up the Mounting Anger. We get an extra point of damage from Brand with Cinderclaw because of Spreading Flames. We're going to get an extra point on this Phoenix Flame, but now our Mounting Anger has nothing to banish. Choosing to pitch the Phoenix Flame here for Searing Emberblade is a line that I didn't see. I did forget that I have a second Phoenix Flame in my discard, so this is absolutely correct. We get the Phoenix Flame back into our deck for Flame Call Awakening, and we get to use our Tunic resource. But I still think that we missequenced this turn. We should have played Mounting Anger as soon as it became clear that Rising Resentment wasn't going to hit, because we would have gotten an extra damage from Tenacity by making it Draconic with Brand with Cinderclaw. Overall, our damage might have been the same, because the 1 point that we lose from Tenacity not being Draconic, we make up for by getting an extra point on Mounting Anger. But I know that at the time, I really thought, ooh, the Mounting Anger has a 6 power, it's gonna get blocked, or it's gonna hit and we can banish a thing, and just forgot that it cannot banish a thing. Victor rightly not overcommitting to blocks. We still get in for a 9 power Tenacity, which is great. We strip Victor's hand, we line up our life totals. Now, of course, Victor does have 3 floating resources because of so much vigor, so we are still going to get hit with the Grindstone. We can take a look at our hand here and see that we should not block this. To block it would cost us quite a bit of damage. If we wanted to value block with Lava Vein Loyalty, our turn would be Brand with Cinderclaw, Blaze Headlong, Pass. If we keep this Lava Vein Loyalty, now our hand is Brand with Cinderclaw, Lava Vein Loyalty, Blaze Headlong, Phoenix Flame. We get an extra 2 points of damage by keeping this Lava Vein Loyalty for offense, because it gives us not only our 3rd Draconic link for Phoenix Flame, but Phoenix Flame gives us our Shuko trigger. And we're putting 2 more attacks on the table that incentivize Victor to block to get more value out of our Tenacity. As much as we would like to use Brand with Cinderclaw to pitch for Searing Emberblade, we cannot get Go Again on Blaze Headlong or Lava Vein Loyalty without leading with Brand, and we are not looking to use our Snapdragons for such a low value turn. Playing Blaze Headlong and snapping it just to get an extra point of damage from Shuko and Emberblade is not worth the snap. Let's see how many more blocks Victor wants to give us. Playing Tenacity here, looking pretty good, but arsenaling Tenacity to pair with our Snapdragon Scalers also looks great. That is what I'm looking to do. We draw into a very interesting hand where it sucks because we don't have natural go again. So we will need to pitch one of these blues to turn into a Phoenix Flame to turn on our Lava Vein Loyalty and Searing Emberblade. That said, that is going to get us our Shuko trigger on the Lava Burst. We could think about snapping for Tenacity. We don't need to do that. But I think taking 7 here may be fine. Really, we're either taking 7 here and sending our entire hand back, or we're blocking for 9 and sending Lava Vein Loyalty for 3. And I think that what we really want to do is play offense. See what I decide to do with these remaining cards, keeping in mind that Phoenix Flame for 0, Lava Vein Loyalty for 3, Lava Burst for 3 is not incredible damage. Alright, so I will be using the Snapdragon Scalers here. Interesting line, I think it's fine. I am potentially attempting to keep myself alive in the face of a overpowered Golden Sun, but considering that Victor does not currently have gold, I think we would have been fine to go down to 4. I also don't like that we no longer have the option for a double finisher, considering that Victor is probably inclined to block a lot of this damage. He's already given us some good blocks, probably going to give us more on this Lava Burst, and going down to 4 here so that we could throw a 7 power Tenacity when Victor has nothing left to defend would have been pretty cool. Looking at our hand here, we will get our Tunic value this turn. The highest value line here is going to be E-Strike for 5 go again, bottoming our Snatch. Mounting Anger for 4, using our Tunic resource, then send Ronin Renegade. It's entirely possible that Victor overcommits to blocks on the E-Strike and the Mounting Anger, in which case Tenacity is very, very strong. So I don't hate doing that. And I like leading with E-Strike because it puts Victor in a position to use at least 1 card from hand and multiple pieces of armor. But sending the Ronin Renegade to soften up Victor's hand for this Mounting Anger is also fine. Depending on how Victor blocks, we can also just E-Strike for 7. We have 3 blocking cards on the table right now. E-Strike for 5 go again, Tenacity for 5. Puts Victor to 3 if he does no blocking, but I think Victor is going to want to block this E-Strike at least with another card from hand, which would put Tenacity coming in for 6. So I think if I'm making this call now, it's a tougher one, but I think if I'm making this call now, I am E-Striking for 5 go again. Which I agree with in the past, so we'll see how Victor wants to block this. Okay, correctly anticipating that Victor would give us a card from hand and a piece of armor, we are going to Tenacity here for 7. We are not going to sit on this Quicken, tempting as it is. We are going to get our value for Tenacity where we can. And we take full tempo from Victor. The hand comes back to us. I would like to keep Spreading Flames if possible, but I don't know that it is our best call. If we Mounting Anger, pitching Warmonger's Diplomacy, we very likely get either a card from Victor's hand or these 2 remaining pieces of armor. If Victor does block with the Civic Steps, that's great because it lets us lead next with Snatch. And Victor would probably not have the breakpoint to stop it with defending cards. If we sent Spreading Flames instead, then we are getting Spreading Flames for 3, Mounting Anger for 2, Phoenix Flame for 3, Snatch. So compared to the 9 damage that Mounting Anger, Emberblade, Snatch would send, Spreading Flames first would get us 13 points of value, but no arsenal. And I think having Spreading Flames in the arsenal is looking pretty good. So we can definitely lead with Mounting Anger just to see what Victor does. And if Victor gives us cards from hand, then we are likely anticipating him not having some big way to kill us. If Victor blocks the Mounting Anger with 2 pieces of armor, we could probably put him on having a way to E-Strike Go Again Hammer, or Hammer Pummel, or something that would take multiple cards from our hand. So I really like what I'm doing here, the discipline of arsenaling this Spreading Flames and looking to set up a 5-card Spreading Flames turn, rather than kind of a subpar 4-card Spreading Flames. If we can put off the Spreading Flames, then we can also have our Tunic available. Here, Grindstone for 4, we could think about blocking with E-Strike. With the cards in our hand, pitching a yellow for 2 Spreading Flames puts us at 6 damage overall. Then playing second Branded Cinderclaw for 4, coming with Phoenix Flame for 4, and having an E-Strike to Arsenal sounds really good. We could also bottom the Phoenix Flame to play E-Strike for 7 if we wanted to get really greedy. All of this is to say that we should not block this Grindstone. We will go down to 3, and we will come in with a very strong 4-card hand. I agree in the past, and we are going to push for some damage. Not our best double Spreading Flames turn, but I think it's going to be good enough to get cards out of Victor, which is all we're trying to do at this point, because we are going to end up leaking some damage with Brand and Phoenix Flame. We're also making it a lot less likely that Victor can pressure us, because this E-Strike in our arsenal can set us up for a really strong turn. Worst case, we can block a Grindstone with Shuko and go down to 1 if we really wanted to keep 5 cards. With just having 1 Phoenix Flame, and that Phoenix Flame coming in for 4, Victor is at an effective 9 health, with his 8 remaining health and Civic Steps. So I really, really like not getting greedy. Let's just send 4 with the Phoenix Flame and we'll arsenal this E-Strike. We draw into a solid hand here, but we need to decide how greedy we want to get. Victor is at an effective 5. If we kept this hand on offense, if we blocked with Shuko and went down to 1, we are sending Brand with Cinderclaw. We could follow up with Emberblade. We could E-Strike for 5, go again, bottoming Rising Resentment. We can then pick up and bottom Phoenix Flame to the second E-Strike. Overall coming in for 18 damage. Victor is at 5 with 4 3 blocks in hand, he dies. If Victor has a 4 block in hand, he dies. If he has 2 4 blocks in hand, he lives. and if any of those 3 or 4 blocks make a gold, then he draws a card and lives. So I don't like being that greedy. The next question is, well, what do we want to do with this hand? We're going to block with one of our 3 blocks. It's either going to be E-Strike or Nasty Surprise, and we'll go down to 2 and keep our equipment. We can brand with Cinderclaw for 3, pitch Rising Resentment to Emberblade for 3. We can use our Tunic to pick up and play our Phoenix Flame. Then we can E-Strike for 7, or we could E-Strike for 5, draw a card. We can also brand, play Rising Resentment, play Phoenix Flame to get our Shuko trigger. All of this is to say I do think that blocking with Nasty Surprise is higher value than blocking with E-Strike. I think we should be looking to play this E-Strike in hand rather than block with it. It appears that I agreed. Realistically, I think either the Nasty Surprise or the E-Strike is going to get bottomed to the E-Strike and Arsenal, so this decision does not matter nearly as much as I am pretending it does. The better call between pitching Rising Resentment for Emberblade or attacking with it to get our Shuko is to attack with it. Because Victor has Civic Steps to block for 1, we get more value by sending 2 and 2 rather than 3 and 1. 3 and 1 is an easy 1-card block, Civic Steps block, whereas 2 and 2 leaks 1 point of damage over if Victor chooses to take that line. Victor giving us Civic Steps here means that we should E-Strike for 5, draw a card. I think buff power is short-sighted. Yes, Victor can block 7. Let's say we attack for 5, he takes 1 point of damage, and we draw this Rising Resentment that still strips his hand. And if this Rising Resentment is something like a Snatch or a Blaze Headlong or a Lava Burst, then we probably just win the game on the spot. So if we're given the Quicken, we should draw a card there. That said, we are still in a very strong position. The fact that Victor is not clashing with us leads me to believe that he does not have the ability to do so. So we are going to get multiple cards out of his hand. Phoenix Flame very likely to deal damage to him, and very likely to get these remaining 2 cards for Snatch. Which we do. Finding a hand that does not have a starter is fine. We can pitch our Warmonger's Diplomacy to pick up our Phoenix Flame. We then get to Phoenix Flame for 0, Lava Vein Loyalty for 2, Emberblade for 3, Lava Burst for 5, which I believe is going to be enough to put Victor down. Victor blocking the Phoenix Flame to possibly play around Art of War. I don't think that is correct. If I was advising this Victor, it would be to take the Phoenix Flame damage. Don't block a 0 power Phoenix Flame. If you're at 1, maybe. But if you're at 1 and you're playing around Art of War, then you've already lost because you cannot play around every Art of War. And we are going to get lethal damage by attacking over the block value of Golden Sun. So a very close game. We got heavily outvalued by Victor, which is to be expected considering how many more cards he draws than we do and how much extra value he gets out of his clashes. I think we caught some very lucky breaks that game, only getting attacked with 1 Golden Sun. All 3 of Victor's Prime to Fights were used to block. We had a very strong setup with Spreading Flames Art of War that we naturally drew into rather than needing to set it up. But that's kind of what you need to do to beat Victor as FaB. It is much more luck-based than skill-based a lot of the time. Yes, you need to know how to execute your plan when you are dealing with Victor, but you also need to draw into the pieces, and you need to do so at the right time. Miller's Grindstone never milled anything too important. It hit a Lava Burst at one point, but it didn't hit Spreading Flames, it didn't hit Art of War. Everything we needed to happen did happen, and that won't always be the case. We are heavily unfavored in this matchup, and do not let the outcome of this game make you think otherwise. You should not go into a Victor game thinking that it'll be easy. You should not go into a Victor game thinking that he's Bravo. You need to play tight. You need to sequence well. You need to think about the impact that your current decision will have on future decisions, considering that you will see your second cycle because the game will go long enough. You need to consider that fatigue is a real possibility. So play very thoughtfully, play very carefully and patiently, and hopefully your deck will cooperate. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. If so, be sure to head jab that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. Again, if you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It's free, it helps me out, but no matter what you do, catch me next week for more daily FaB gameplay. And until then, good luck at your RTMs, and take care.